Manny, was there anything you wanted to say before we went any further?
Just hello all. So hi.
Well, like you gave me a red fig.
Yeah, it was nice. I'm glad that we got to jam together. Thank you for listening and for being a part of that. And thank you for being at the Revolution of Love, everybody.
Great. Thank you so much, DJ. So blessings, everyone. This is Reverend Felicia Perez Zader. My pronouns are she, her, hers, they, them, theirs. Welcome to the Revolution of Love. Let's hear it. Let's see some reactions, some hands up, whatever you feel like doing. And thanks for doing the Oscars, the rollway this evening. So we have a very special guest tonight. It is the Reverend James Jeffley, aka Rev Up. You'll hear more about that in a moment. So let's really welcome Reverend James to the Revolution of Love, shall we? Yes, yes. And the crowd goes wild. I need a laugh track or an applause track, actually. That's what I need. I'll get one. I'll get one. So before we go any further, though, it is important to consecrate this time. And so, as I always say, let us light a candle. If you can, light a candle from where you are seated. I actually already lit mine. And I will be going on live on Facebook in just a moment. In just a moment. But first, let us pray. And we are multi-path here. So the other thing that I often say is that I will pray in the way that I pray, recognizing that you may pray very differently, or you may send energy or good thoughts or vibes or whatever it is, but it is welcome here as you are. We welcome you because we get to welcome all parts and pieces of you. So let us begin, shall we? Let us take 3 deep breaths in together, breathing in. And when you're ready, exhale. And again, breathing in, fully arriving to this time and this space. And when you are ready, exhale. You can allow a smile to form on your lips if you would like. And again, really breathing in through those nostrils and holding it at the top. And then a nice, beautiful exhale out the mouth. Holy One, one with many names, what a joy it is to be able to gather in this way, even via Zoom. We are connecting from all parts around the country. We are also recognizing the circles upon circles, those that may be in the invisible realms, and our ancestors that sit along with us and beside us, helping us, assisting us in doing this spiritual work. And so we give thanks, yes, for this time together tonight, that we get to commune in holy agreement in this way of covenant, and to really become agitated in a way that shifts us, that allows us to think in new ways and to see differently ourselves or people in the world, to maybe hear differently, to maybe touch or taste, all of the things that we need to agitate into change, that we may truly heal and create a very bold revolution of love. Let us be, yes, ignited tonight, recognizing we are under a sacred canopy together. Amen. And as we move forward in the spirit of welcoming, we know that the Reverend James Jeffley is also being exalted and ignited in these blessings that are holy. And we ask for an open heaven as he speaks to us, moving forward in the grace that knows no bounds. And the people said, Amen, Amen, Ashe, and Aho. Okay. Now what happens? Oh, yes, the acknowledgements, the acknowledgements. So we need the screen share for that. And Manny will be doing that in a moment, or offering that. And we need some volunteers for the land acknowledgement as well as the path acknowledgement. So Manny, whenever you're ready.
Any volunteers? Don't be shy.
We will do this Quaker style, and we will just wait until someone is ready. There's no pressure, and it's very important to
I'll
acknowledge the.
work on it.
Thank you so much, Evie. Thank you.
Land acknowledgement. At this time, we want to take a moment to reflect on the lands on which we reside. We are coming from many places, and we acknowledge the ancestral homelands and traditional territories of Indigenous people who have been here since immemorial, and to recognize that they are still here. Fighting for human rights, for lands and their culture. They're still here fighting for human rights, for lands and their culture. I am in Las Vegas and acknowledge the stolen lands of the Paiute, Ute, and Southern Shoshone. Please acknowledge the lands which you reside upon in the chat. If you don't know, go to Native. I can't read the rest.
Native
Land.
Yes, it's native-land.ca. Thank you.
Thank you, Evie. And now for the path acknowledgement. Anybody feel called to read this one?
I'll do it.
Thank you, Melanie.
Of course. We acknowledge the paths and beliefs represented here. We honor all religions, philosophies, ideologies, belief systems, healing modalities, and spiritual perspectives. We honor the life experience and wisdom you have brought here today. We respect you and welcome you into this brave space. And we emphatically state that disrespect, prejudice, discrimination of any kind has no place here. We empower one another through respect and strength to be true revolutionaries of love and justice. We see you, we hear you, and we love you.
Yes, thank you so much, Melanie. And again, thank you, Evie. And I see that people are writing in the chat, acknowledging the lands upon which they reside. And also, please do put your path. You know, if you're religious, if you're spiritual, if you are neither, if you're an agnostic, if you're an atheist, come on, we welcome you. We're so grateful you're here. And we will shift now to the mission statement and the vision statement. Oh, you know what? Actually, okay, yeah, we'll do that, and then we'll have our roll blessing. So Manny, please go ahead.
Thank you. All right. So, for the Revolution of Love Ministry Movement mission statement, by the way, I am Manny. My pronouns are he, him, and thank you for listening so far. Mission statement: to create courageous, multipath communities through healing services, educational offerings, and the study and practice of abolition for dynamic inner and outer transformation. And now for the vision statement. The Revolution of Love. At the Revolution of Love, we bring hope, inspiration, education, and action to every change agent in the world. If you are breathing, you are a change agent. We welcome all of who you are, what you look like, where you come from, who you love, and we love you. The time is now. This is the revolution. And also, if you are able to, show your gratitude by donating to the Revolution of Love. We have our link tree. I'll be posting in just a moment. Thank you.
That's right. There it is. So let's come off mute. And Manny, there you go. Thank you so much. We're going to come off mute. We're going to do what? Does anybody know what we're going to do? Margaret. I saw Margaret's face. In fact, Margaret, would you do the honors and
Yeah, absolutely.
lead us in that roll blessing? Thank you.
Yeah. So we'll say it 3 times. We see you, we hear you, we love you. So everybody all together, first time. We see you.
We see you.
We
We
hear
hear
you.
you.
And we
And
love
we
you.
love you.
We see you.
We see you.
Hear you.
Hear you.
And we love
We
you.
love you.
Third time, nice and robust.
We
See you.
We see you. We
hear
hear you. And we love you.
Getting more intense with each moment. I love it. Thank you, Margaret. Well, blessings, everyone. I think we've covered all the logistics and the housekeeping. We are live on Facebook, so everybody say hello, Facebook. And hello, Facebook. Yes, there it is. So it seems like a while since we've done this. It's really great that to see all of you and to be together. Yes. Yes. So I am over the moon, very excited because, and I just saw Reverend James head go, whoa. My dear friend and colleague and just a person extraordinaire is with us tonight. And I am speaking of the Reverend James L. Jeffley. He is also known as Rev Up. And so this is a very big treat. And I would love if all of you would just give him a very warm and enthusiastic welcome. Before we do that, I do want to tell you a little bit about Reverend James, if you're not familiar with his work in the world or him. So he is an ordained minister and an award-winning international speaker and trainer, a professional coach, a published author, musician, Reiki practitioner, and hug master, a hug master. His work in the world is to help elevate consciousness on the planet through keynotes, workshops, training programs, music, and ministry. He is also the founder, and look this up on Facebook. There is a page for the Church of Higher Consciousness. And so their mission is to help people dream bigger, work smarter, love deeper, and do better in every part of their life through the elevation of their consciousness. That's right. This is achieved through sermons, keynotes, workshops, spiritual retreats, corporate outreach training programs, and also, again, his ministry, Hold Me, which is the hugging ministry. He's known for his catchphrase, up yours, an invitation to raise every part of your life up to a higher level. And so would you please help me welcome Reverend James Jeffley. Thank you.
Thank you much. Thank you so much, Reverend Felicia. Everybody, just unmute yourselves briefly, and I want you to say out loud with power, clarity, and conviction, up yours.
Up yours.
Up yours.
Thank you. Now, it's fun. I don't mean that as an insult. I mean it as an invitation to raise every part of your life up to a higher level of consciousness, a level where you have greater peace and calm and clarity, and you're able to have and do and be just a little better in the world. I'm going to share my screen now, and let me know if everybody can see that. Are we good? Can we all see everything? All righty. Let me go. Okay, here we go. You're over here. Give me one moment while I move some things around. All right, can everybody see that and you can still hear me?
Yes.
Cool. So I am so excited to be here with all of you, and I want to give a special thank you to Reverend Felicia Parazader. She and I have known each other for many years, and we have a special friendship, and I admire her for not only who she is as a person, but also a teacher, a leader, a minister, and someone who is not just talking about revolution, but who is actually walking her talk. She's been and still is on the front lines of organizing and teaching and preaching and leading this revolution of love, trying to make this world just a lot better. She really is one of the great ones. And so thank you, Reverend Felicia, for all that you do and for all the lives that you touch with your presence, your pastorship, and your big, beautiful mind and your compassionate, loving heart. Show her some love. It is Oscar Sunday. Who likes movies? Woohoo! And you're here. This is the 94th Oscar show that's going on. And so thank you for your responses to the question that Reverend Felicia posted in the Facebook Revolution of Love page. So many great movies. Many of you listed. Citizen Kane showed up. Lord of the Rings, 2001, A Space Odyssey, The Godfather, A Beautiful Mind. So many great movies. So much Hollywood's history there. And today is Oscar Sunday, and so it's the day when Hollywood elites gather to recognize and to celebrate and award the best performances in cinema from the previous year. And what's up for Picture of the Year? All the things that you see on the screen right now. Belfast, Coda, Don't Look Up. I've only seen one of these, Don't Look Up. But just raise your hand if you've seen any of these, right? Judy, what have you seen from this list?
I saw Don't Look Up, like you.
Right,
Great,
right.
Great movie.
Great movie, wonderful movie. Robert, what did you see from this list?
None of them, I'm afraid.
And that's fine too.
Yeah, I haven't been
fine.
to the movies in a while.
That's fine too. And so no matter whether you've seen these movies or you've seen any of the past Oscar winners or movies that did not win an Academy Award, I don't have a crystal ball, and so I don't know who's actually going to win this year, but I do know one thing, that everyone who is up for contention in any of the Oscar categories is sitting on the edge of their seats waiting for the presenter to say, and the winner is, because they all want the same thing, to hear their name or their movie next. And it doesn't really matter whether it's an Oscar or it's a Golden Globe or it's a Grammy Award or it's an MTV Music Award or it's a Soul Train Award. Everyone who competes wants to win. Yes? And it's like there's a thread of competition and winning that's woven through the fabric of our society. Compete, win, compete, win, compete, win, compete, win. This constant cycle of competing in order to win. Anybody feel that? And it's not winning isn't really a desirable option, is it? Because we hear this from people. We hear things like, oh, well, second place is the first loser. We hear things like, only winners have fans. No one cares about losers. We hear things like, show me a good loser and I'll show you a loser. As though no one wants to be a loser and winning is everything. And it's not just in music. It's not just in the arts. It's in virtually every facet of our lives. It shows up in sports. You got to win. It shows up in business. You got to win. It shows up in our military. We've even referred to military proliferation as the arms race. I'm curious, what do we win at the end of an arms race? Peace, stability, security. Right now, we have an unconscionable situation in Ukraine because of a madman who decided to invade just because. And the rest of the world is tiptoeing around Putin for fear he will unleash nuclear hell on Earth. And the winner is, no one wins a nuclear war and no one wins a nuclear arms race. So what is this obsession that we seem to have with winning? Well, I think we have to examine winning and how we define that. We define winning generally as bigger, faster, better, higher, more. Bigger house, you win. Ballin' automobile, you win. Big piles of cash or fat bank account, you win. And it's not just there. It's how you look. You've got a ripped toned body, winner. You look like a supermodel, winner. You have the perfect family with 2.5 kids, a dog, and a minivan living in the suburbs. You win. Have any of you been bombarded with these messages of what winning looks like in our society? Right? And most of the marketing messages that we are inundated with are the same. You're not good enough as you are. But if you buy this product, you'll be just a little better. You're inadequate the way you show up. But if you do this, then maybe you'll be accepted. And acceptance is the first step to winning. We don't have to be perfect, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, there was a line from Juan in Moonlight. At some point, you got to decide who you want to be. Can't let nobody make that decision for you. You have to be yourself. We can't just buy into the things that were fed by Madison Avenue, by marketing slogans and ad madmen, right? We have to decide who we want to be and what winning looks like to us. Who said we have to have, do, or be any of that stuff? Who said you have to buy into any of that? Because I'll tell you, this focus on winning has created an almost incessant desire to win at all costs, even to the point of being in near constant competition with each other. Think about the things we compete against each other for. Jobs, we compete for jobs, yes? We compete for housing, yes? We compete for relationships and partners, yes? And so it feels like no matter what we do, we are conditioned throughout our lives to compete in almost every phase of that life. Anybody ever feel like they're on a proverbial hamster wheel and the wheel just keeps turning faster and faster and faster and faster and faster? Anybody? Am I the only one? Am I the only hamster? No. Greetings, fellow hamsters. and the weight of the world and everything else that's going on right now, for some of us, that wheel is turning a little slower. It's hard to keep up the old pace, isn't it? And so no matter how fast or how slow we run on that hamster wheel of life, it still seems like we're not getting anywhere. We're not winning. It was Marlene Dietrich who said in Around the World in 80 Days in 1956, never be in a hurry. You'll miss the best parts of your life. How many feel like sometimes you've rushed past a beautiful moment, the best part, because you were on the way to something bigger and better? You were trying to win. Who's gone through some stuff in the last couple of years or so? Anybody? A little bit? How many of you wish that the world would just slow down? Right? I'm sure many of us have wanted the world to slow down, especially the last few years, because we've seen unprecedented events, climate change, social, political turmoil. We just marked in January the one-year anniversary of an armed insurrection at our Capitol. We're now in our second year of this pandemic, this thing called COVID. We're up to about 12 or 13 different variants. This is like the DJ Khaled of variants. Here's another one and another one. That's funny if you know who DJ Khaled is. It seems like almost everybody on the planet is experiencing some uncertainty, some stress, some trauma. Some of us might need to be in therapy right now. Some of us might need counseling or medical attention. These are not normal times, and almost no one on the planet is totally okay. And what we used to do pre-COVID, pre-whatever, How many of you figured out some of that stuff doesn't work anymore? The formula that I used to have for winning, for competing and winning big, that's just not working anymore. And we bang our heads against that old wall, those old paradigms, and we wonder what's wrong with us. Well, maybe it's not us. Maybe this is an opportunity for us to, as Pepe Miller said in The Artist, embrace the new. Out with the old, in with the new. That's life. And so what I think COVID has done is it has catalyzed a social evolutionary era. COVID has forced us, the pandemic has forced us to re-examine our lives, to redefine what winning actually means. It's forced us to look at how we work, when we work, where we work, who we associate with, who we allow inside of our little bubble. It has given us, no, forced us to redefine all of that. And through the midst, how many of you have had to rethink some things because of the pandemic? Right? Because the old stuff just didn't work anymore. You had to come up with a new way. And that is what Darwin was talking about. He said it's not the smart people who survive. It's not even the strong people who survive. It is the most adaptable people who survive. It's never been survival of the fittest. It's been survival of the most adaptable. And so if you want to survive, I'm not even talking about winning anymore. I'm talking about surviving. We've got to be okay with doing something a little or a lot different. Am I making sense? So I want to get a little nerdy here on you. How many of you remember Abraham Maslow? Remember Maslow? He was a psychologist who came up with this thing called the hierarchy of needs. And he says people have the same basic needs, regardless of where we're from or what we look like or who we love or our gender or anything. We all have the same basic needs. Physiological needs, we want to feel safe, we want to feel love and belonging, self-esteem needs, and actualization, right? And if you don't get the needs met down here, well, you can pretty much write that stuff off up above. You can't get up here at be all you can be if you don't feel safe in the world. And so where you want to be, where most people strive, because we've been taught to compete and to what? Win. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Margaret. She just signed that, right? To win. If you want to be up there, okay, super. That's wonderful. But where are you now? Where are you now? You can drop this in the chat box if you want to. Let's start with level 1 is the bottom, 2 is safety, 3 is love and belonging, 4 is esteem, and 5 is self-actualization. Just jot the number in the chat box for where you think you are right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Where do you think you are? 4 to 5, Melanie, she's up there. Robert's around 3. 4 to 5 for Weta. Thank you. Good to see you here. 3 to 4 for David and Margaret. 4 for Jenny. Super. So of those who've answered, nobody's down at 1 or 2, but how many of you know people who are? Took you a long time to get there, Melanie. I hear you. Right? And it's not to say that if you're a 3 or 4 or 5, that you can't drop down periodically to 1 or 2. Thank you, Judy. Right? How many of you know people who are down there? Right, Melanie? I certainly know people at the bottom, right? So not everybody is okay. There are a lot of people who are struggling, folks. And so you can't get to thrival if you're stuck down here in survival. Yes, I made that word up, thrival. Feel free to quote me. So when we talk about winning, when we talk about competing and winning, oftentimes that's described or defined as someplace up here. But if you're down here somewhere, I would invite you to redefine what winning looks like, because you may not be able to get to here unless you actually win at these levels first. You with me? I'm not saying put your big dreams off. I'm saying you may have to be mindful of where you are and what the little dream is you need to accomplish first before you go back to tackle that big dream. Because if you try to tackle the big dream and you haven't handled the little things first, the fundamentals first, you may be setting yourself up for failure. And so if you're struggling, if you know somebody who's struggling, if you're feeling disheartened or depressed or depleted, maybe it's not just your circumstances. Maybe it's your bar. If you're struggling to compete, to win this game of life, to hit the high bar that you've set for yourself, and that feels like it's too much right now, I have a suggestion. Lower the bar. What? I thought you were Reverend up. I am. But sometimes I'm also Reverend up just a little. Not up all the way, up just a little. Lower the bar. Now, don't misunderstand me. I am not anti-high bar. Not at all. If you're up to something big in the world, by all means, set a high bar. As teacher Howard Thurman said, keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve. And if you're in the middle of striving for that, the high bar, and you're feeling the weight of the world, maybe you set that bar a little lower for just a little while until you have enough capacity to up yours. As Mr. Dryden said in Lawrence of Arabia, start small. Big things have small beginnings, sir. So take it from someone who has dealt with their share of misfortunes and disappointments and grief and depression. Sometimes a little bar, sometimes a little win is enough. I was reminded of this a few years ago when I was going through a very tough time in my life. I was getting divorced. My father had just passed. Another friend had made their transition. My parents' health was failing. I was struggling to create stability in my career and finances. It wasn't a great time for me. And a dear friend reminded me about the power of the lower bar. And she said, just do something, James, something each day to take care of yourself. Don't go out and try to conquer the world. Don't try to go out and compete and move the mountain. Just do one little thing to take care of yourself every day. Brush your teeth, comb your hair, wash your face, put on pants. I was wearing pants when she was talking to me. Take a walk, do something that you'll be proud of. And that was so nurturing, so insightful from her. Sometimes, folks, you don't have to win. You just have to show up, because showing up is enough. So you get a certificate of participation. My certificate of participation today says, hey, James Jeffley, you got out of bed today. Woohoo! Any day I'm able to do that, I win. And that is awarded to me by the part of me that still cares about myself. So, hey, you know what, folks? I'm not the only one who gets to have a little win. Everybody deserves a little win, even a little one. You get a win, and you get a win, and you get a win, and you get a win. We all get to have a little win. Everybody deserves a little win. You know what I think? I think instead of giant bank accounts and huge awards and Oscars and trophies and all of that, we should get adult merit badges. There should be adult merit badges where if you just put on pants today, boom, win, I win, get a merit badge. If you only watched one episode of Netflix today, I win. Now, I fail because I've been binge watching This Is Us on Hulu. I'm up to season 5 now, Reverend Felicia. I'll catch up with you soon, maybe by tomorrow morning, right? But I haven't watched any Netflix. I've not watched Netflix. If you just ate a vegetable today, yay, you win. The little wins, folks. So let me ask you, feel free to come off mic and share this or drop it in the chat box if you are so inclined. What do you want to count today as a little win in your life? What's some little thing that you felt like, yeah, you know what, I did that. It was a little thing, but it mattered to me. What was your little win? I did a little bit of writing today. Yes, Robert, there you go. Little bit. That's all it takes. Who else had a little win? Leslie, what'd you do today? What was your little win?
Well, mine for me is if I get up and open the drapes, then I know my day is going to go well because I'm letting the light in.
Let the
So
light, let the
if I
sunshine.
sharing is more a win for me than me winning.
There you go.
Winning and losing to me is a dichotomy because someone is on an extreme end. So if I can go through the day sharing anything with anyone, that is my level of my humanness.
I love that. Let the light in and then share. That's beautiful. Thank you. David, gave myself permission to nap. You win. You win napping. Yes. Reverend Felicia, my little one is significant to me. I got to be here and be with my parents. Love that. That's your win. You win today. So if you find yourself feeling a little less than, remember, set a lower bar. Here's the catch, though. You can't just set the lower bar. You have to actually do something. You don't automatically get the adulting merit badge. You have to do something, but it doesn't have to be a giant thing, just something. Because as perennial smart person Albert Einstein said, nothing happens. No thing happens until something moves. I have to be the one to create movement in my life. You have to be the one to create movement in your life. I can't move for you. You can't move for me. But maybe there's something I say that moves you to action. Maybe there's something you say that moves another person to action. Remember, folks, you don't have to move a mountain. You just have to move yourselves towards it just a little bit. And maybe if you feel up to it, just move one little rock. One little rock. While you're doing all of this, remember, take that step, take that movement with a little bit of grace and compassion and love for yourself. Don't beat yourself up if you don't accomplish everything or if you're not perfect. Don't strive for perfect, strive for progress. As John Nash said in A Beautiful Mind, perhaps it's good to have a beautiful mind, but an even greater gift is to discover a beautiful heart. And if you think you're going to go out and set a high bar and change the world, that's cool. Whether you soar above your high bar or you simply fall over a lower bar, let those around you take notice that you didn't conform to the world. You did it your way. In Christian scripture, there's a verse, and be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Let us redefine what winning actually looks like for us. Let us change the status quo from chaos and competition and calamity to ease and peace and cooperation. Instead of status quo, let's adopt a new focus, in melius, Latin for the better. Let us be reminded in thought and practice with intention the words of Aesop's fable, from the tortoise and the hare, slow and steady wins the race. Let's stop competing against each other and start collaborating with each other. As I like to say, if everybody helps, then everybody wins. And finally, whichever bar you choose, the high bar or the low bar, choose. Do the best you can each day. Strive to win at something, no matter how large or small. As Jack said in Titanic, I figure life's a gift, and I don't intend on wasting it. You don't know what hand you're going to get dealt next. You learn to take life as it comes at you, to make each day count, each moment count. So I leave you with this. If you can set a lower bar, if you can take a few steps, if you can move one pebble, you win. Maybe you don't win the big house yet. Maybe you don't win the big job yet. Maybe you don't win the lottery yet, but maybe you win something better. Maybe you win a little calm. Maybe you win a little peace. Maybe you win a little joy. And at the end of the day, when you lay your head to rest, maybe you'll hear a small voice saying, and the winner is you. Reverend Felicia.
Oh, thank you so much. Let's hear it. Let's hear it for Reverend James. I love it. We're all clapping. Thank you so much. Where did Reverend James go? There, okay, I couldn't find you for a second.
I'm here.
There you are. Thank you so very much. What a dynamic talk. I know I have I jotted down notes. I think other people were perhaps jotting things down, and I have some questions. But Reverend James, what format would you like this to take? Or which direction?
I'm open.
Okay, well then I'm going to start with the question, if that's cool.
Please.
So I love. There's a few different things I want to touch upon, but I think I'm going to go with this question first. Thinking on Maslow's self-actualization, actualization triangle, how do we agitate folks who are in those upper levels, like 4 and 5? How do we agitate them into taking action? Because one thing that I've seen is that sometimes people are in that, those upper levels, and they are still not motivated to be change makers. And so what would you say on that, please?
A couple of things. One, I think some of those people are change makers, but they're not changing in the way that you think they should be changing, or they're not leading change in the way that we think change should be led. I have a book here somewhere by David Hawkins called Power versus Force. Anybody read that book or heard of that? Power versus Force. It's a great book. He talks about human consciousness on a scale from 20 to 1,000. And what he says is if you're operating at the higher levels of human consciousness, there really isn't a lot of doing necessary on your part, because your consciousness has the ability to so profoundly impact huge numbers of people, right? That people are impacted by the way you live your life, that the example of how you live your life is the activation.
Right. Okay, so then I have just a follow-up to this.
And the second part of that is, how do you get those people to do something? For those who are not vibing all the way at that highest level of consciousness, you have to touch their hearts. So often we tend to live on our heads in our society, and we try to logically, well, if this, then that, then this, and think people into action. But most action is not the result of a well-laid plan. It is the result of somebody touching your heart. It is a result of feeling. And once you feel that, if you can touch their heart, boom, now they're in action.
Okay. Thank you. I think sometimes what I've seen is that spiritual bypass. And I think that's where my mind went, was that on the outside, at least by all appearances, it seems like there's that love and relatedness, and people have done a significant amount of work on themselves, and yet there is stagnancy, and that can look like spiritual bypass.
Yeah.
So, but I think what you say about the heart touches upon that.
Yeah.
Because my thought is integration. It might not be actually integrated.
Right.
Yeah.
Evie has had the hand raised there for a while now. Evie, do you have a question?
No, I was going to say that my win today was that I ate before dinner, which I have a word for, is brunch din des. I've been saying this since the kids were little, and I've been doing that a lot more again lately. But I'm really busy lately.
Brunch din des. I learned a new thing. Thank you. Good for you. Yay, you win.
Thank you.
Reverend Felicia, what's next?
If people are putting questions in the chat, yes, if people would like to put questions or come off mute and ask Reverend James a question.
Yeah,
I've
Robert.
got a question. Yeah, hi. Where do you suppose, what is the origin of this emphasis on winning in our culture? I mean, is it naked tribalism? Is it competition for finite resources? What would you say? How did we get in this situation?
That's a great question. I'm sure people smarter than me who have studied sociology and anthropology have far better answers than me. I think in the beginning, it was Maslow level 1, survival. And if you lived in a place where there were scarce resources, you had to compete against each other for those resources until you figured out, oh, banding together in tribes, right, actually increases your survival rate. So you pull together in groups of like-minded people, and then you all hunted or fished or whatever you needed for survival. But in a world like in 2022 that is abundant with resources, right? Where does this drive for competition and winning come? I think a large part of it is something lingering from that tribalism. Oh, I've got, that level 1 survival, Maslow. But I think a large part of it is fueled by capitalism, which unchecked has no bounds and is wholly unsustainable. There was a great cartoon I saw. It was one of those where you laugh, but then you cry right afterwards, where there's a guy, in a business suit that's kind of tattered, sitting around a little fire with 2 children, and you see the rubbles of civilization in the background. And he goes, for just a moment, we really created amazing shareholder value. Right? Until we destroyed the planet in the process. So, you can't eat money. I thought he was revving up. This is depressing. Anybody else?
I just wanted to make a comment. I really like the taking a small step, with the whole thrival thing, because it sounds like, thriving sounds like such a wonderful thing, and we want to get to this place, but we have to really celebrate the small wins, and we just have to try. And I love just talking about that, because we can put ourselves in that framework of being able to give ourselves that opportunity, because we just don't. We expect maybe someone else to, and we hope that maybe that might be the case, but I think before anyone can really do that, where it is an impactful thing for us, we have to do it for ourselves. And that's something that I am speaking from just, my own experience, but I just wanted to share. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I think so often in a competition-based, winning-based society, the focus is on the end result, right? You got the gold medal, you won, you're right. The focus is on the end result. In doing research on the power of the brain and visualization, right? One of the keys to success, some people say, is, well, you have to begin with the end in mind. Stephen Covey said that, right? 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. You have to picture yourself winning. Well, what really happens in the brain, from what I've read, is that if you picture yourself winning, the brain treats that as though you've already done it. Oh, I have an image here that I've won. Okay, therefore, no work is required. So what some of the research I read recently says is you cannot expect success if you only picture the successful outcome. What you also have to do is visualize yourself doing the work. You don't start with a finished building. You start with a hole in the ground, right? So first, step 1, dig a hole. Step 2, pour a foundation. Step 3, right? They don't build a car on an assembly line by starting with the cup holders. We'll start with the cup holders and build a car around it. No, you start with the frame. So you got to do the hard work, and you got to visualize yourself. We have to visualize ourselves doing the work that it takes, not just the end result.
We got to work with the trouble we have.
Yeah. And it's there's something beautiful in that too, right? Something about being present with what is, accepting what is, right? All the while we're trying to change it into some new is, right?
We have time for one more question, and then Reverend James, would you, after that question, if there is one, would you lead us out in a prayer or song or whatever?
Sure, sure.
Okay.
I see the hand raised for David and Margaret.
Yeah, it's Margaret, actually. Let me try and
Okay.
put my hand down now.
Mhm.
I really appreciate the reminder about Maslow's hierarchy.
Mhm.
I work in public health, which has had its own challenges, many challenges over the last couple of years. And it's almost like what I really wish is for decision makers, lawmakers, to have that triangle in front of them for every decision that is made. Where does the decision land on the hierarchy?
Yeah.
And who is benefiting? Who is not?
Mhm.
Who is left out? So I was a psychology major, so I know that hierarchy, but just seeing that visual was so incredibly powerful this time. For whatever reason, it just really landed on me in a way that just spoke to how decisions are made.
Yeah.
How decisions are made by the people who have the power to make the decisions,
Yeah.
and then how that impact falls onto people that don't have the power to make the decisions. So so I wanted to say that. And the other comment I'll just make quickly is that I love the quote, "Don't strive for perfect, strive for progress."
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
put one foot in front of the other, and by God, some days that is the win.
Yeah.
And you should not feel at all marginalized
Mm-mm.
or defeated, that's what you did today, because that was a win. So take it, own it, love it,
Yeah.
love yourself in the meantime. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. If you want to get out of this vicious hamster wheel of competition, number one, stop comparing. Stop comparing yourself to, oh, what's he doing? What are they doing over there? What are you doing? Are you happy with that? We do the best we can at our current level of consciousness and capacity. So start where you are with what you have. No matter how big or small that is. But the point is, start. Just start. All right. I want to play a song here as our final thing, and this is you're probably familiar with this song. It is a song that I sometimes listen to when I'm feeling a little down and not wanting to earn an adult merit badge for the day. So I will share this with you now and let the song speak for itself.
You're broken down and tired of living life on the merry-go-round, and you can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move mountains, we gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, I like the waves. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. The silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, promised we would take the world to his feet. Move mountains, bring it to his feet. Move mountains, and I'll rise up. I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up. I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. All we need is hope, and for that we have each other, and for that we have each other. And we will rise, we will rise, we will rise. Oh, we'll rise. I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up in spite of the ache. I will rise 1,000 times again, and we'll rise up. I like the waves. We'll rise up in spite of the ache. We'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again.
If you need to rest, then rest, but don't stay there, because there is work to be done. Rise up. Rise up. And take the little wins.
Thank you so much, Reverend James. Let's give Reverend James some love, send him some love and gratitude in this very moment. Thank you very much. So that concludes our Sunday night agitation service, family. And we will be back here in 2 weeks for our healing service. See how that works? Healing, agitation, agitation, healing, healing, agitation. So a little bit of a duopoly of sorts, but we will see you back. And again, Reverend James, we're so grateful for you. And if you'd like to all come off mute, and we will say our goodbyes.